can almost see it. That dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaken, but I gotta keep trying. Gotta keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. It ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking, sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments that I'm gonna remember most. Yeah, just gotta keep going, and I gotta be strong. Just keep pushing on, 'cause there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle, and sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes you're gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Keep on moving, keep climbing, keep the faith, baby. It's all about the climb. Keep the faith, keep your faith. Whoa.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful Monday morning. You're here with your journal. You're here with your community, and we just want to welcome you. I think we have some sleepy heads in our Monday morning bunch because folks are still arriving. We've got a small group. So we'll visit through these first few slides while we let everybody else get going and join us. You have Team Jennifer on the call this morning. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I come to you from the Dallas, Texas area. I'm in a little suburb right next door to Dallas called Garland. And so I am still, in summer mode. I'm wishing for the cooler months. And then my co-facilitator is Jennifer Kripner. She's coming to us from beautiful Minnesota, where they are experiencing a little bit more change in the weather. But she will be hanging out in the chat. providing support. You've already seen she's dropped some links in the chat for some things that might be interesting to you. So she'll be doing that throughout the morning. And then, if you have any questions along the way, she can also point you in the right direction to get those questions answered. A reminder to set your chat to everyone. That's how we communicate. You don't have to hang out. You don't have to communicate in the chat. If you're like, I'm here, I gotta focus on my journal. That's good. This is all about, we always say, taking what you need. But that is how we communicate with each other. Mics are off. The cameras are off except for mine. So, adjust as needed. We are, goodness, getting deep into September now. And so I shared this graphic last week. Like, what are you wanting from your September? So, some beautiful thoughts there. Today is actually a fun day. It is National Dot Day. And last year we had a coloring social fall on National Dot Day. And so we really embraced the dot. There's a wonderful children's book that will speak to your heart. If you just need a little joy in your life, go look that book up. It's just called The Dot. And it's about, kind of being uniquely you. I actually read it at last year's coloring social, but I love the dot day. Maybe you'll sit and create a dot, but I highly recommend that book. It's pretty cute. Yeah, so we're like in the 15th, we're the smack dab in the middle of September. Here are those community guidelines. We bring these up to remind everybody that we create safe spaces when we are with each other, and also some directions like if you do need some customer care, that email address is hello@silkandsonder.com. And finally, remembering that these socials are a way for you to elevate your life, your emotional health, and how you take care of everything in your life. So with that said, we do remind you if there's ever anything that feels a little crunchy, a little hard, a little stickly to work on, just give yourself this headspace. We say here, you come as you are. Maybe it's a great day and you're feeling good and you want to connect with folks, and maybe it's a tough day and you've decided to show up for yourself and you're just going to kind of sit back and take care of yourself in your journal and be quiet. That's great. We take you as you are. Yeah, and then I also want to give a shout out. We do have a in-person gathering happening for our Tennessee people. Bailey, our one of our facilitators, is going to be hosting an in-person event, and so Jen will go dig up that link if you're interested. Bailey's trying to get kind of a head count and make sure she's got the space that will serve you best. So if that's something that you're interested, maybe you want to go see Tennessee for a weekend. But there's the information in the chat to go hang out with Bailey. Tomorrow night is our coloring socials. Speaking of coloring socials, and I'll be on at 7:30 Central Time. I would love to invite you. If coloring's not your jam, bring something slow, I always say a slow hobby to work on. Maybe you just want to doodle. Maybe you are working on some handwork, just that time to decompress, reset your brain. So would love to see you there. And then Thursday is our exclusive for this month. I talked about this last month. It's about the disc personality types. It's great info. I encourage you, if you're thinking about it, check it out. Now there is a free quiz. Jennifer just dropped the link to the free quiz as well as the registration link for the exclusive in the chat. And I was saying last week, I did this when I worked and with the staff, and it was really good. It not only of course tells you about yourself, but then you learn about how you interface with people who are different from you, who think different, who process differently. It was really cool. So I love that. And Jennifer's already saying how she leads with the eye. So I think it's a very well done kind of personality inventory. There's so many out there, right? But again, another peek into knowing yourself, to thy own self be true, to really get to know yourself. This month's theme of bravery. Oh my goodness. I was very honored to sit with folks this past week and work on some journal prompts, and it hits, right? This is a tough one. And we do agree that a lot of times when we're looking at those like somebody in the chat or said at the Thursday gathering, like, I really miss the theme of enchantment because that one was just fun. But we also know when we do these trickier, deep thoughts, right? We are challenged and we really gain so much from the themes that may feel a little harder to wrap our brains around and work through and find like roots of why we feel how we feel. So this month, I think we're doing the work, and I'm proud of all of us for embracing this theme. And I found a new little graphic to drop in. Instead of keeping the same one, I love this because we can find those reasons to excuse taking that leap, right? And we're going to try anyway, even if we're scared, even if we're unsure, and even if we're not ready. So I think that's what bravery is showing us this month. This morning, we're going to work on the third week of our mind map. If you are joining us for the very first time, the mind map is a bonus that you get for coming here. And you won't find this in your journal. They're only offered at the weekly setup. So we're going to do week number 3, but I have weeks 1 and 2 to share with you. Get your screenshot buttons ready, or maybe your cell phone, and you can grab a screenshot that way, take a picture. We're going to do our rosebud thorn reflection. Then we're going to set up our weekly pages and get on with a fabulous week. So you're invited to find a space in your journal if you haven't started it, or turn to the page or the spaces that you designated as your mind map this month. And again, we're exploring that idea that bravery isn't like, loud, that a lot of times it's that inner thing that is guiding us. And we have these voices and the tapes running through our heads, and sometimes we have to counter those things, those things that make us feel like maybe we're not being authentic, and quiet down those voices and lean into bravery to find our own strength. So week 1, we talked about what whispers of bravery are kind of in your soul. Last week we had that image of a locked door, and we kind of imagined the key in our hand, and what was waiting behind that door for us, and kind of that image of creaking that door ever so slightly as we approached it, opening it gently. This week is, how does the vastness of the ocean mirror your inner strength? So this is big, big ideas. So week 1, we had kind of this thought process of slowing down and imagining this. So yeah, Amber, let's get you caught up, lady. Take a screenshot of this one. This is from week 1, about listening to those quiet things, that are those instinctive things that are in your heart. So that's kind of the expanding idea of what we're thinking about with our week 1, those whispers of bravery. And then, of course, there's our locked door that we are going to go unlock, that it was waiting for us. And so grab that screenshot. I really enjoyed the imagery with this one. I think I shared with y'all, I saw this big old creaky door, and it was kind of had a rounded top and a little window with light shining through. So that one was fun. And then now for this week, the vastness of the ocean. So I'm going to go ahead and read the prompt to you. I want you to just sit for a moment and just kind of start picturing the imagery. This month is beautiful. Before you lies this endless ocean stretching out into the horizon. Maybe the sun is coming up or the sun is setting. The waves crash gently, their rhythm calming yet powerful. It's vast, much like your capacity for courage. It feels infinite and full of potential. So imagine standing at the edge of the shore. Your toes are getting kissed by the water. The tide is coming in, and then it's calling you to go deeper, to swim farther than you've ever gone before? What does it feel like to surrender to the pull of the ocean? And think about, if you've ever been in the ocean, how if you could just go with it, it will carry you, right? You're not fighting those waves. You're just trusting the current to guide you. Now, not we're not talking about any little weird, tidal things going on. This is a beautiful ebb and flow. I want you to think about writing about the depths of your courage, and what it might feel like to really just go with it, to dive into those fear, knowing that the ocean of bravery always flows within you. So you may want to grab a screenshot of this and chew on it throughout the week, but we're going to give a little time dedicated to this question this morning, and then we'll dive into the rest of our setup. Alrighty. I've said that I feel like our mind map prompts could be like an hour's worth of work, right? They're pretty deep this week. So you may just be jotting some things down as you're considering this question. Perhaps you've reframed it to something that you're a little more comfortable with imagery wise, which is completely a-okay. I did remind folks when we did that social this past week on facing our fears. And fear does have function, right? We need fear in our life because it's what has kept us safe. It's why like we're here because generations and generations and generations get fear signals. It's our bodies, our brain's way of protecting our bodies. So fear isn't a bad thing. It's just when it becomes the driver of your life and it's the thing that informs all your decisions and all that you do when it becomes unhealthy. So there's like this healthy fear that we need so that we can thrive. And so we I think some of our challenge this month is learning how to love that fear that serves us well, the good part, right? That keeps us safe, but not let it take over and control. And so this week, I think we're really focusing on just like how do we let go of some of that fear so that it doesn't have that big grip on us. So good work getting going on this one. And again, it might be that you're gonna bumble around with this, right? Let it kind of I would say marinate in your mind as you're going about your business, doing some of your tasks this week. Let it kind of sit in your heart as you think about the role fear plays. And then is it driving the car or are you driving the car, right? So good work. Let's now kind of move forward into our rosebud thorn reflection over this past week. You'll find this week's reflection on page 36. And, the thorns are those yucky things, the stuff that's challenging or a place you might need more support. The bud is something you're looking forward to, and I have a fun little graphic there about fall activities to look forward to. So maybe you can grab one of those if something's not coming to mind. And then your rose is what was just great about the week. What are you proud of? What are you celebrating? My thorn this week, I pay for my health insurance and it's ridiculous. And I pay a lot for really, really bad insurance. And I got a notice that, it's going up $100 a month. And so I've got a conversation with the guy today and, I'm telling him I think I just need to drop my dental and my eye stuff because that'll help with anyway, it's just um it's so frustrating. And you got to have it. And it's more of a catastrophic policy. And I get angry because like it doesn't cover like my flu shot every year and that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, oh, it's such a scam. But yet it's not. Like if I end up really needing it, I got to have it. So anyway, I'm working on my health insurance policy and I don't like that. My bud is one of my very best friends. We moved from the Houston area, so I don't get to see those people that I raised my kids with very often, but I am meeting my one of my best friends named Chris at a fun little restaurant that is like the halfway point for both of us. We in Fairfield, Texas. We just love it. And so I can't wait to see her. And she and I share a birthday. So she's like my kindred spirit, and I'm just excited to see her. And then my rose was, Mr. Crosby, my number three, turned three this week, and we had grandparent day at his school on for his birthday, and it was just fun. It's that's where my joy completely lies these days. This chapter of having little bitty grands, they haven't outgrown me yet. So I'm going to put on some music while you do your reflection. And if you're comfortable, share in the chat. Yes, Melissa, it's just crazy, right? It's so, ugh. Anyhow, yeah, so let's share with each other and support one another. And if you're having a tough time, drop that in the chat and let us just send some love into our Sonder community, and then we'll get back with our setup. Ooh, thank you to you all who shared some of those thorns that you're experiencing right now. I'm so sorry about your grandparent, Jayana. That's so hard. And then to see your grandmother hurting. Kate, we just send you lots of good juju. We're glad that you're here with us and coming authentically and just letting us know it's tough right now. And so we love that we can be part of your life, even virtual community, right? This is just such a good, safe place. So you keep coming, even on your rougher days, and let us help carry some of that weight and remind you that you have this community. You're not alone. So there may be a lot of unspoken things that are carried here. So just remember that this community is with you. And it's so interesting. I want to share something. So I go to church on Sundays, and yesterday in the sermon, because it's just been a really hard week in the world, right? And our pastor said, we're gonna disappoint each other, but there's a way for those holes to be filled, and for that grace to be found. And I think when we are together, we see that, like, we are the hole fillers for one another. And I it just spoke with me. I wrote that in my journal because I think that's so true. That, yeah, we fill those holes because this world is going to disappoint us, right? That we're going to have those things. So we come here to get those holes filled with one another. So thank you for sharing. Now, very quickly, I want you to turn to page 39, and we're going to kind of just do this quick mid-month check-in. Not spend a lot of time on it, but I want you to maybe look over a couple of these, maybe pop some things in. Um, Especially maybe if it's feeling like a really, really rough time, what are you planning? And maybe talk about how you're feeling with yourself. Just give some power to those words. And then we'll dig into the 2 pages of our setup. All righty. But, just put it on that paper and give some power to those words. And then maybe share one or two of the things that are on here. Like, what are you wishing? That can be very powerful and very cathartic to sort of make a little plan, right? What if your wishes could come true? So put that on paper. Love the call out of maybe using this page on the weekly. There's like those lines, and so you could do like a line a week. Like after the first week, go and fill out like the first line and then the second line, and then of course by the time we get to the fourth week, we're ready to jump into looking at our, doing the reflection over the month in our new journal. So that's kind of a nice way to frame that out. If you want to do like a weekly check-in with this page, that's sort of a good thing. We may realize that we're reading a lot and neglecting our home, but maybe that's maybe just maybe that's what you need right now, Cheryl. A little time with your books. That's good for you. So anyway, thanks for hanging out on the currently page. And now let's go ahead and move into our weekly planner. We'll be on pages 40 and 41 this week as we set up for a brand new week. And the quote that is on page 41 is by Helen Mirren, who I love. And it says, "The only way to deal with fear is to face it head on." So maybe draw a circle around that. I know some of you are dealing with some stuff this week. Maybe, box it, put a circle around it, an arrow, something so that you can keep reminding yourself you've got this and you can move forward. So, of course, it is Self Care Awareness Month. You've seen these two graphics throughout the month. You might want to grab a screenshot of this, and I will come back to this as well. But maybe some of these things could be worked into your habits, your activities, your setting, your to do list. Maybe you take a couple of these things to just pop into that to do list. Set those things up for success and for taking really good care of yourself during this Self Care Awareness Month. And I'll come back to this as well so you can grab that. But we're going to start off the week by thinking about how we want to feel this week. What do we want to bring in? What kind of energy are you going to bring forward? And I'm actually going to do what I did last week, which was I wanted to feel content, which is hard in these tumultuous times, because it feels like so much is out of our control. But I wrote content, and I want to pay attention to what I already have, and that's not just material stuff, right? That's the whole gamut. So that's what I'm going to take into the week for my feeling. But you can do stickers or a mantra. Maybe there was an affirmation that spoke to you last week, and that's gonna sort of set yourself up. Feel free to drop in the chat, where you're leaning. And if you have like some feelings and you're not sure how to put them into words, drop that in the chat. And maybe someone will have the word that you're looking for to, encapsulate what's going on in your world, what you want to picture. Like when you're sitting here in a week, how do you want to say this week went for you? So, Kate's struggling and she put stable. She needs a good, stable week. We've got determined and accomplished. Lori's embracing that mindset of an affirmation. I can choose bravery over fear. Love that. Confident, resilient. Keep those coming while we're moving forward. Now I'm gonna look at all of this page together today, and then we'll put on some music and I'll go back through all of these slides. So now that we've gotten our feeling in place, I just wanted to share some ways that folks have set this page up. So, on this page, when we're looking at those goals, of course, we like the list of categories over there because it's really easy to take those categories and then plug a goal in that will maybe, a need goal, a want goal, a hope goal, and then you just plug in what you need, or delete, delegate, and delight. Those are great ways to frame out your your goal. So the example we see, someone is doing a goal of deleting something, of delighting in something, and then they added the frog for their third thing. And those are always eat the toad, eat the frog, get that thing done that we don't want to do. And they gave power to it by putting it in writing. Their to-do list has been made into a bingo board. Please notice they're not going to track on the weekends, right? It's a Monday through Friday. That's where they're holding themselves accountable for those things. They've kind of done that gamification of For their habits, doing a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It just makes it a little bit of fun to do that. Um, yes, good call out, my is to just, sometimes the stuff from last week comes forward into this week. I'm gonna do that ketchup, mustard, pickle, mayo, the things that I must do was mustard. I liked that. It was fun. I got most of the stuff done. So I'm gonna do that again in mine. Here's a couple more examples. So we've got the 3 major goal the one on the left, there's the 3 major goals, and underneath that, there's those little tasks that are gonna help those goals get done. And then for their habit and activity, they're not giving it a number, they're just tracking, and they're gonna do that tracking with the colors, just coloring it in. The one on the right, there is like this mantra in the to-do space, right? What it's going to kind of guide their week. Just do the next right thing 1% better. And then of course we're seeing a repeat of the gamification where you do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the habits and activities. The to-do list on the left is a straight up to-do list, just the things that are coming this week. The one on the left on this slide, the goals, have tied into that to-do list. So you can see be active, and here's how I'm going to be active. That's in the to-dos. And then the habits and activities, they circled all the days that they want those to happen, but maybe there's something you need to happen 2 times this week. And so you circle those 2 days. And, they're putting 4 things on here. They're not worrying about filling out every line. The one on the right, instead of 3 goals, they need 4 goals. So again, it's about making these spaces work for you. And then they just set their goals are set. They want to exercise 6 times, be in bed by 10, 6 times. They're giving themselves a little leeway with one. They'll do like one day when they don't. So they've set that according to what they need for the week. Of course, stickers. When words don't come, stickers are a great way to fill up these spaces for that week. So you can see somebody's going into vacation mode on the left. So not tracking during those vacation days. Um, and then the goals are reflecting the focus of the week, which is to relax. And the one I love on Tuesday, you can see the example on the right. They're going to Disney, so there's no tracking that day. So, and they wrote that word there to give power into that, the way that they want to frame it out again, and just coloring in those spaces for that. Um, on the one on the left on this slide is there are no goals set and no totals. They're only tracking those 4 items this week. And then the one on the right is the example of taking your to-do list and breaking it up into categories, into those different spaces that are in your life. Maybe you have a self to-do list and a family to-do list. But give yourself permission to draw lines and make these work for you with categories. Couple more. We've got the goals on the example on the left. There's like this little mini daily check off list. So I love that. And look at the goals: fresh air and hydrate, and then having, like this boost of protein for lunch. So really embracing taking care of self. And then the one, you see the activity and habit tracker is just tracking. There's not goals set, and they're not going to tally. They're just tracking. And then the one on the right, their to-do list is divided up into don't do this. So some things they're trying to stop doing, put boundaries in place, and then what they're going to do instead. So I love that duality of getting rid of something or stopping something, but adding something that's going to serve them there. And then their goals are some ranges. So they're not going to just lock in on I've got to do it 6 times. 4 to 6 times, I'll be celebrating myself if I get that done. So I like that idea of ranges. You've seen this slide before because I love how it's done, but you can see in the habit and activity tracker, unplug, which is something we probably all need to do. I know I need to do something in my journal this week about unplugging and getting rid of the social media obsession I've had as of late. It's not good for me. So, not only am I going to unplug, but here's how I'm going to do it. And then their goals is this bingo board of like this menu of ways they're going to do it. So, a great way to, it's more than just saying I'm going to unplug. It's like I'm going to unplug and here's what I'm going to do so that I'm not left to my own devices. So, I love that. And then here's some examples of that habit tracker. You can see how different they all are set up to work for their lives. And then some things that you might want to, again, some more self care, some more bravery, things that you can stick into your goals, your habits, your activities this week. And then there's some habit tracking ideas if you're looking to invite something new into your life. So I'll stop talking and go back through all of these slides one more time. Grab a screenshot if you saw something you like, and then let us know what you're doing. Yes, for sure, Mai, it is. It's data. The stuff that goes on this paper is just telling your story of the week. So if you have, I always say, if you have blank spaces, remember those blank spaces are part of your story. You didn't get it done, but that means something else was going on. Maybe you needed to sit with some moments of self-care, right? So it's really about just showing what your week was. It's not there to shame you that you didn't do something or that you did do something. Okay, so let's work on this and then we'll go to the next page. Oh, Susie. Okay, before I go. Okay, so I'll throw this back into the slides next week. So you do your goals are catch up, which is you catch up on things that maybe there's a couple of things you need to do. So catch up. Mustard are the things you must do this week. Ketchup, mustard, mayo are some things you may do. It's not pressing. It's a little bit of a gentle Eisenhower matrix. And then pickles and pickles were like I listed four things that I was going to pick one of them to do, and it was kind of a fun thing. Like it had coffee shop or the library bookstore visit, and I picked one. So mustard, ketchup, pickles, um, mayo for that. So, and I'll throw that example back in next week so you can see what it looks like. Or I don't know if I'm anyway. Yeah. All righty. You're welcome. So let's work on this page. Okay, I hope you've gotten a good start onto this first part of our setup, and we're going to go ahead and jump over to the second page. So while I'm talking, feel free to continue to work on this first part of our setup. And I did pop on. Thank you for posting the condiment example in Sonder Club. That was very helpful. I did pop on with my page, but I know it's a little tricky. But thanks, Lori, for doing that. And I know that Maya used my example in her weekly setups. If you go to the Silk and Sonder recordings, you could go and slide until until you see it. But yeah, it was kind of a fun. It's like a little light. It's like the Eisenhower matrix on a little bit lighter frame of mind. So we're going to take a look at page 41, and I'll go through all the spaces on this. And just, I always love the show and tell and looking at how people set their pages up. Just that little peek in there. And notice like the example that's on the slide now, their mind body health plan is going to be embracing the 7 types of rest. We talked about that last week, that maybe you choose one type of rest and you focus on just that for the whole week, or you maybe experiment with finding moments of rest in each one of those areas. So that's what that person did. They have a quote of the day for their menu plan. They're going to do a doodle in the shopping list. So, there's a lot of repurposing. I think for me, page one of our setup every week is pretty much the way it's printed. And then this page is where I experiment and try lots of things. You may find the same thing. So you can see here some great examples of, how folks have framed these out, affirmations, maybe your appointments. The one that's kind of there on the left, down in the middle there, it's kind of a week at the glance. So the big things for the week, almost that appointment type mindset. We see a bingo on this page. We see, maybe you're a plant parent, and so you have the mind body health plan over at the example on the right is plant care. So it really is about setting this up for what your needs, what your life is calling for. Lots of ways to reuse this beautiful meal plan. We love those big little rectangles there to write that. And chore list, the water drops, appointments, wardrobe tracking. Maybe it's your big checklist. I always think this one that's down there at the bottom, the journal prompts and responses using post-it notes, right? So the prompt is on top on the post-it note. Underneath is your response. There's a little bit more info on those 7 types of rest if you want to explore that this week. Feels and meals, what a great way, if I kind of think I needed to do that. I sort of indulged this week, feeding something in my body. Um, and weekly reflections, and then we'll jump over to the mind body health plan. Lots of things can go here. I'm going to really encourage you, because it is self-care awareness month, to maybe carve out one of these spaces to take care of you, to give yourself that intention of caring for yourself in whatever way that looks like. Sometimes it's maybe just giving yourself that permission to have a binge-worthy night, right? And just cuddle up on the couch and have your bowl of popcorn and just escape, right? Maybe that's your self-care this week. But there's some suggestions in that little 5-minute self-care. Maybe you put all of those on the list there. Here's that graphic that I showed earlier. So something from either one of these can do that. And I am using this. These 2 things inspired my gratitude list this month. And so I just did self-care awareness month. And what I did is I wrote out the things. And then as I'm doing them, they're not tied to a day or anything, but it's just 30 things to take care of myself. And then I'm coloring them in as that happens. And so the goal is to get them all colored in. We'll see. We'll see. But I got inspired. My inspiration for that came from this graphic. And then here's just many ways to set up this mind body health plan. There's that example I shared last week that down at the bottom left about this one person is doing just emotional rest. So all these things are about resting emotionally. So that's how you lean into one type of rest. If you need social rest, what does that look like? Physical rest could look different. And some more, we always love the I feel this, so I need this. And that's a great check in morning, noon, night, whenever you need it, several times a day. Maybe all the spaces on this page, it's a morning check in, one's an afternoon check in, one's an evening check in. Again, all about that self care, taking care of yourself. Shopping list can be used as a shopping list, but here's some really neat ways to set that up. Bingo, we love bingo boards. Someone's using this as their financial tracker for the week, weekly spending, which could directly tie into that intention that they set on their intentions page. So remember, you've got those intentions for the month. Let those help inform these spaces. Love the self-care shopping list. That's at the bottom there with kind of this menu, just some things to go to this week, especially if you're feeling just ah, heavy. It's a heavy time in this world. And so, if you've got like this little menu of I'm going to do, and you can even close your eyes and do whatever your finger lands on. Packing list, doodle list. I love the doodle list. That's so cathartic for you. I love this an enormous list of things that are totally okay. And it's like, it's okay to have a bad day. Give yourself that permission. Maybe you need those reminders. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to fail. And sometimes we need to just write that and give it some power. And for that reminder, there's an example down there at the bottom. If there's some schoolwork happening and you need to use one of these spaces to define that. And again, all of these spaces I feel are so interchangeable. So maybe your doodles, you do a doodle a day in your meal planner, right? It's again what you're needing. And then finally, what are you loving? And I've asked you this month to consider kind of changing this up a little bit because it is Self Care Awareness Month and filling this in by I am loving blank about myself. Because self love is the best way we can be brave and confident. So let me put on some music while we work on this page, and then we will finish up our time together. my friends. We've kind of come to the end. This is a very quick hour. A reminder that this is being recorded as well as all the other socials that we have. So if you needed to go back and catch something, feel free to do that. I hope that you found something beautiful about what you are loving about yourself, about your kind heart, about your sweet spirit, about your tenacity to embrace our theme of bravery. We'd love to see any part of your setup in Sonder Club. That's where these examples come from. So feel free to share as you're comfortable. Again, that little reminder about coloring or doing a slow hobby or just joining us and hanging out tomorrow night at our coloring event. I love those that chill time. It's so chill. I love it. So I hope to see y'all tomorrow evening. A reminder about that disc personality exclusive that will be this week. We want to make sure you grab that. Jen will be dropping some links that are important for you to be able to access the recordings, access that in the chat. And then, of course, many of you are already using Jenny as your lifestylist, your little coach. So, if you need some more information on that, of course, we're glad to do that. Concierge at silkandsonder.com can help you out there. And then there's our music for this morning. Y'all go have a brave week, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow night. Good work today.